I pledge my heart forever to serve with humble pride this shining homeland. Yes, this my 10,991 square kilometers, my green isle of the Indies, my Jamaica, my home. It's our work, our strength, our love, and our loyalty that will make a great nation. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry. Today's show is all about building Jamaica, entrepreneurship, government policies, and family. On the very first page is the news, so stay with us.
Looking to enhance your professional skills and competencies with training of the highest quality? Then apply today to the Justice Training Institute, JTI. JTI offers certificate courses in computer applications, CSEC Math and English, financial crimes investigation, courtroom protocols and procedures, diplomas in paralegal studies, court reporting, and more. For more information, call 928-4624, visit us at 4 Camp Road, or go to the website jti.edu.jm. The Justice Training Institute, training for improved performance.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, June 28. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has challenged members of the Disaster Risk Management Council to develop a policy on the disposal of plastic bottles. Mr. Holness asserts that the improper disposal of plastic bottles has been wreaking havoc on the island's infrastructure in times of natural disaster, particularly the drainage system.
In your deliberations, in your considerations, we would want to hear what do you think could be some of the solutions so that the government can start to put together a comprehensive plan to deal with this threat.
The Prime Minister was speaking at Tuesday's meeting of the Disaster Risk Management Council. He called on Jamaicans to take personal responsibility and make better decisions about where they live, build, dispose of their waste, and care for the environment. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, says that while the island has suffered over $4 billion in damage caused by the recent rains, his government is focused on disaster risk management.
I am pleased to know that some well-needed equipment, such as fire trucks, waste collection trucks, ambulances, off and inshore vessels, and seismographs have been obtained, with additional items to be procured. Our needs are great, but we remain committed to boosting our capacity to respond.
This year's Disaster Preparedness Month is being observed under the theme, Disasters Happen, Prepare More, Repair Less. A contract has been signed for the construction of offices to house the Island Traffic Authority and the Transport Authority in Westmoreland. At Tuesday's signing, Transport and Mining Minister Mike Henry said the move was to create a one-stop shop for improved commuter services and effective enforcement of regulations.
Important here is to finish these as quickly as possible and bring them in on time, and therefore offer the service to the people of Westmoreland that they don't have to travel that far and that distance in able to be able to achieve the very results that are important to their everyday life.
The facility will provide Westmoreland and adjoining parishes with public transport applications, certificates of fitness, driver's licenses, and other services. Ground was broken recently for a similar facility in Maypen, for which construction is now near completion. Tertiary institutions are being encouraged to include students as equal partners in their education. In making the call, Education State Minister Floyd Green says more successful models of teaching incorporate young people in all levels of the education process.
I would suggest to our universities that if we are to truly take advantage of the opportunities that the future provides, we will have to start incorporating our students in that sort of curriculum development, delivery development, and importantly, in the evaluation process.
The Minister of State was speaking at the 2017 U.S. Schools of Education Biennial Conference on Friday. And finally, both houses of Parliament on Tuesday paid tribute to former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller, who will retire from representational politics shortly. It began with Leader of Government Business Everald Warmington tabling a resolution for the House to pay tribute to the retiring Southwestern St. Andrew MP.
And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be conveyed to her with expression of our highest esteem.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness praised Mrs. Simpson-Miller for being a leading voice in the promotion of climate change and gender issues and her constant regard for the welfare of the poor and vulnerable in more than 40 years of public service.
Portia Simpson-Miller has embodied for many Jamaicans the grit, determination, and resilience that is awe-inspiring in the face of obstacles.
Mr. Holness and other speakers also paid tribute to the diversity of Mrs. Simpson-Miller's service, having represented the People's National Party as both a councillor in the KSAC and as a member of Parliament. In 2006, Mrs. Simpson-Miller became Jamaica's first and to date only female Prime Minister, an office she would occupy twice. Among those who served in her cabinet was now Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, who spoke to her leadership and dedication to the country's development.
I served in her cabinet after challenging her for the leadership of the party. And I would like to place on record that not only did she entrust me with perhaps the most critical portfolio of finance, but that she gave unfailing support to all the measures that were required to take Jamaica to a most difficult period.
And in her last address to Parliament, Mrs. Simpson-Miller encouraged her colleagues to always put the best interest of the people first, saying her commitment to and regard for Jamaicans remains her greatest source of pride.
This is it. This is where my political story, which began over 40 years ago, ends. My heart filled with gratitude to you, the people of Jamaica, who gave me the privilege to serve at the highest level. I was always driven by a single purpose. I wanted people to feel that they had value and that they had an equal stake in everything Jamaica has to offer.
A reception in honor of Mrs. Simpson-Miller was also held at Vale Royal. Tuesday also marked former Finance Minister Dr. Omar Davies' last day in Parliament. His resignation becomes effective Thursday, and he too was honored by several of his colleagues in Gordon House. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
The Minister of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, Carl Samuda, in his 2016-2017 sectoral presentation, says the government will seek to mobilize farmers through infrastructural upgrades and policy making. Let's see what else he has planned.
The Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries is focusing on several priorities as outlined in the 2017-18 sectoral debate. Some of these include facilitating upgrades to farming infrastructure, providing the legislative framework to enable a better environment for business and industry growth, and providing productivity incentives and support to farmers.
Sugar has the potential to be viable and profitable.
But as any guaranteed price and access to EU markets gets set to end in September 2017, the Agriculture Minister says greater attention will be paid to the CARICOM market.
I am prepared to work with the industry to explore what adjustments can be made to the common external tariff to offer a greater level of protection to this important industry, not only in Jamaica but throughout the Caribbean.
In the meantime, government and the European Union have signed a contract to re-examine the cane payment formula to ensure farmers enjoy income from new product streams. Measures are also being pursued to increase productivity and earnings from other agricultural areas.
Our emphasis this year will be on Irish potato, peppers and onions. We want to move onions from 12% as it is now to 40% in 2017-18. We will continue to support the new Burgard sweet potato industry, given the potential for Europe, England and the European Union.
The dairy industry will also be seeing new developments in the coming months.
Some 1,500 hectares of hay production is taking place. We are supporting the efforts of Sir Giles and other large players in the industry to increase production of milk by increasing the national dairy herd by some 1,000 animals within the next 12 to 18 months. We are spending $110 million this year to improve the Bodles Research Station, including roads, pastures, irrigation systems, and the dairy unit.
Making sure farmers' irrigation needs are met is also a priority.
If we want sustainable growth, agriculture must have water. That is why we have taken steps. We've taken the initiative to extend the Hounslow irrigation system affecting 500 farmers, and why we have secured an additional $5 million US to build out new agri-park facilities in which irrigation is a crucial element.
Government is also spending $5.7 billion to establish the Essex Valley Irrigation Project in St. Elizabeth, which is partly funded by the Caribbean Development Bank.
This is the way of the future.
Several strategies are also being implemented to prevent and reduce predial larceny.
These include strengthening the legislative and policy framework, as well as collaborating with other entities, especially our partners in the criminal justice system, to implement special programs. We are going to be also implementing the predial larceny victims and witness care unit.
The Fisheries Bill will soon be tabled in Parliament. The bill will significantly overhaul the management of the large fisheries resources and put in place the proper government and regulatory arrangements. It will also address environmental and other issues in relation to the conservation of the fisheries resources. Government is leading the charge to merge agriculture and industry in a more symbiotic relationship that fuels growth. The main avenue is through public-private sector partnerships, such as the agreement through which government has this year leased an additional 600 acres of land to Red Stripe for the cultivation and use of cassava in its production.
Their goal is to brew 40% of their beer utilized by using cassava.
Improvements under the industry portfolio also include the Jamaica Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority JACRA Act, which is to be established and operational by July 1. Under the JACRA regulations, a tax will be imposed on imported coffee, the proceeds of which will be used to further develop the industry. Greater synergies between agriculture and tourism is also being advanced.
With hotel rooms expected to double from existing 20,000 rooms to over 40,000 rooms, it is expected that there will be a significant increase in demand across all food categories. We therefore support the call by the sector for the provision of prime cuts of beef at a reduced CET. I wish to turn to the matter of the importation of motor vehicles into Jamaica.
Effective July 1, a motor vehicle pre-shipment inspection program will be implemented.
We feel it gives the consumers greater protection. And it is a system whereby after inspection, the exporter cannot go where the vehicle is. It's isolated, so there's no possibility of contamination.
The program will be beneficial to Jamaicans as it will raise the standard of the national fleet and prevent the entry of stolen vehicles. As for information into the special economic zones,
under the special economic zone arrangements, motor vehicles will be allowed to enter the economic zone and to be transshipped from there to other external markets in keeping with the Logistics Hub initiative.
Vehicles leaving the special economic zones to enter Jamaica's domestic territory will require an import license from the Trade Board Limited. In addition, a special regime is being put in place to aid the importation of taxis to the island. Currently, regulations only allow imported vehicles up to 5 years old.
Well, we are going to increase that to 8 years to give the taxi fleet an opportunity to refresh themselves, renew themselves.
Farm vehicles are also going to be impacted.
So farm vehicles can now be imported 8 years old. We are going to allow importers to bring in second-hand farm tractor tires.
The Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries is advancing the sustainable growth of Jamaica through improvements in each sector to ensure competitiveness.
Entrepreneurship is the life of our country. Entrepreneurship for us is marketed to the eyes through art, the mouth through taste, and there's also business and service industries that offer up innovative ideas. But how many of us know the legalities of setting up any such business? Learn how in this next feature.
Have you realized that more and more Jamaicans are becoming their own bosses? Think about it. Varying types of companies or businesses are being opened all over the island. But before they could start their operations, they first had to be registered with the Companies Office of Jamaica, COJ. The process to register a business and a company are not the same. In fact, many believe that a company is the same as a business, but they really aren't. A company is a non-profit or profit-generating commercial enterprise registered or incorporated under the Companies Act, while a business is a sole trader or partnership registered under the Business Names Act. So with that said, we will be differentiating the registration process for each of these two groups for you. Let's begin with how to register a business. For new applicants, you will need to complete and submit the Business Registration Form BRF1, also known as the Super Form. You will also need a document verifying the owner or owner's current place of address, such as a driver's license or utility bill. The business owner or owners must present their tax registration number or TRN, an original valid government identification card, and a work permit or exemption letter where applicable. Professional certification is required for some businesses, such as doctors, lawyers, dentists, pharmacists, engineers, architects, surveyors, real estate dealers and developers, custom brokers, hairdressers, barbers, pest control operators, child care and golden age care services. Now the last thing left to do is to pay the necessary registration fees. The registration fee of a sole trader is $2,500. To register a partnership of 2 to 5 persons is also $2,500. The registration fee of a partnership of 6 to 20 persons is $5,000. And the registration of a partnership and a trade name as it relates to a corporation is $3,000 each. After you've submitted all the relevant documents and made the requisite payments, the documents will be verified by the COJ. Then within 2 working days, you will receive a certificate of registration. This certificate is valid for 3 years, and the TRN and NIS number of your business will be displayed at the base. Certification ensures that you are registered with the National Housing Trust and Heart Trust NTA. Now, let's move on to how to register your company. There are some company owners who, before registering their non-profit or profit-generating company, reserved their company name. The COJ has made it possible for these persons who may not be able to afford the fees associated with the registration of their company, or who are in the process of accumulating the relevant documents, to first reserve a name for their company up to 90 days before it's registered. This is a very beneficial opportunity because if you do this, you will 1. Establish that the proposed name is appropriate and available for use, 2. Protect the name from use by others during the 90 days reservation period, and 3. Allow your company assured use of the name for pre-incorporation contracts. So, if you decide to reserve the name of your company and reap the benefits, you will need to do 2 things. Complete and submit the company's name search and name reservation form, Form 6. And when that's done, you'll be required to pay a fee of $500 for the name search and $3,000 for the name reservation. At the end of the process, you will receive a letter advising you of the reservation of your company name. But if you choose to go right ahead and register your company, there are a few things to do. First on the list, complete the Articles of Incorporation form. If you are registering a profit-making company, you will complete Form 1A. But if you're registering a non-profit company such as a church, charity, service club, or NGO, you will be required to complete Form 1B. When completing the forms, you should ensure they contain details such as
the name of the company with the word limited added at the end, the core business of the company, the classes of shares and the maximum number of shares that the company is authorized to issue. For example, 1,000 ordinary shares.
Restrictions on share transfers, minimum and or maximum number of directors, names and particulars of the proposed directors and the company secretary, names of proposed shareholders, as well as any restrictions on the business that the company may carry on. For example, the company may not support any political party. All articles will attract a stamp duty fee. Stamping is done at the COJ. The second thing to do to register your company is to complete the Business Registration Form, BRF1, also known as the Super Form. On this form, you will be filling in the required information needed on the principal director, all other directors, the company secretary, registered office, and the projected start date. These details are now mandatory for the registering of a company. The super forms should be signed by all the directors of the company, as well as the person declaring the accuracy of the information submitted on the form. This person must present an original valid government-issued identification or a certified copy of a government-issued identification card on location. The final thing to do is to pay transaction fees. The cost for registration is $24,000 and there's a minimum of $500 for stamp duty. After you've gone through all the steps and made the requisite payments, COJ will verify the documents and then you'll receive a certificate of incorporation within 5 working days.
With the certificate of incorporation, you will also receive the company's TRN and NIS number. The certification ensures that you are registered with the National Housing Trust and Heart Trust NTA. You also get a tax compliance certificate, TCC, which is valid for 90 days.
If the time period to get your certificate is too long and you want to register at the soonest possible time, then you can make use of the expedition services offered by the COJ. There's the same-day service which can be accessed at a cost of $6,000 for companies and $3,000 for businesses. Then there's the next-day express service which can be accessed at a cost of $3,000 for companies and $1,500 for businesses. The cutoff time for the same-day express service is 9:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. for the next-day express service. And that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact the company's Office of Jamaica for more information by calling 908-4419 or visiting their office at 1 Grenada Way, Kingston 5.
Jamaicans seek security, and yes, security from lawlessness, but it is not limited to that. Jamaicans seek social, psychological, and familial security, and the government, through its Housing, Opportunity, Production, and Employment Program, HOPE, is building families, communities, and businesses, building Jamaica. Don't be a bystander. Get involved, water your talents and aspirations, trim all negativity, and make room for your growth. Be ready to make your mark. Be an example and make a difference as hope is given to Jamaica's youth. Let's turn the pages and think big. Go beyond the ordinary. At the core of a strong nation is family. Here's how you can join the adoption community and change your life, the life of a child, and Jamaica's future.
Changing the life of a child for the better should be the business of all Jamaicans. We can change our world by opening our hearts and our homes to children in need.
Adoption.
a legal process by which a person becomes a lawful member of a family to which they have no biological connection. In Jamaica, the Adoption Board is responsible for this process, acting on powers contained in Section 5 of the Children Adoption Act.
So, who can adopt a child, and what categories of children can be adopted?
Okay, persons who are living in Jamaica or consider Jamaica to be their home can, and are age 25, can adopt an unrelated child. If they are age 18 and over, they can apply to adopt a relative. And the children who can be adopted also are children who are given up to the agency to be placed for adoption, or children who are abandoned. Some of the children at Glen Hope Nursery who were left on buses, were left on the streets, etc. They were totally abandoned. Those children can be immediately put up for adoption. Or some of the children who are here at the facility and they do have parents, those parents who have neglected to attend to them and keep in touch with our agency, we can take the matter to the courts and ask them to dispense with those parents' consent to adopt their children.
And so, can foreigners obtain a license to adopt a child?
Yes, in fact, we do have quite a number of foreigners who apply to us for a license to adopt Jamaican children. We have some countries that fall under Section 24 of the Children Adoption Act, and these countries are Sweden, Denmark, Canada, United States, UK, all Commonwealth countries.
Is there a fee to be paid for adopting a child?
No, adoption matters are done free by the Child Development Agency. We have the processing part is worked by the agency, and our courts throughout Jamaica do the legal part. And it's all free of charge.
Oh, that's wonderful. So if I, for example, wanted to adopt a child, what exactly would be the steps that I would have to take before that can happen?
Alison, you would need to contact one of the offices of the Child Development Agency. We have offices in each parish. And we have 14 parishes. So you can contact one of these offices to start the process. You also can go on our website and download information on adoption, which would save you a telephone call or a visit to the office in the initial stages.
Oh, that's wonderful, because I see some beautiful children, and I'm sure that a lot of Jamaicans and persons from other parts of the world would like to start the process. Thank you so much, Miss Marjorie, again, for having us in your home.
You are most welcome.
When you complete the adoption of a child, you become the legal parent of that child. So all legal rights of the biological parents are transferred to you permanently.
If you want to know more about adoption, contact the Child Development Agency at 48 Duke Street in Kingston, or call them at 948-7206 or 948-7067.
Our promise as children of the black, green, and gold is to work diligently and creatively, to think generously and honestly, so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. Jamaica Magazine is doing just that by keeping you informed. We're available on all social media platforms. You can also download our app from the Google Play Store and the Apple Store, visit our website, jis.gov.jm, or drop us an email at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. From the fairest land many have ever beheld, I'm Theodore Henry, wishing you a good evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.